Hi guys, I'm Ariel. You're watching She Wants the Diction. I am participating in BLACKATHON, which, if you didn't know, is basically a readathon of Black authors, Black main characters, own voices books, and it's throughout the month of February. So I am a little early. I started a week early, but I figured, why not start early so I can have some kind of content to put up that's related to BLACKATHON that is not a TBR, because honestly I've seen a lot of TBRs and there's absolutely nothing wrong with the TBRs. I mean, I've kind of noticed a lot of people are reading the same 2 or 3 books, which I've seen Children of Blood and Bone a lot, and then I've also seen Pride. That's another one I've seen a lot of. So I'm kind of seeing the same few things, which I understand because those are newer releases and people are more excited about them, and people are always going to be more excited about newer releases, but I kind of wanted some variety. And since I'm also trying to read primarily from my own bookshelf right now, my choices are going to be a little different, because I decided to go through my whole bookshelf and just pick out the books that were by Black authors, and I ended up with quite a stack. So yeah, I had quite a few books by Black authors already, and I've already been reading a few of them. The first one that I picked up was Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry by Mildred D. Taylor. This is a really, I would say, realistic depiction of a Black family, a very strong-knit Black family, and it takes place after, slavery has been outlawed, but things are still segregated, and a lot of the school facilities are very unequal. And the book opens up and introduces us to these 3 siblings. So the main character is Cassie. She's 9 years old, then her older brother is Stacy, and finally her younger brother Little Man. Now, I really liked the way that this book opened up, because a lot of times books make these mistakes where they introduce characters and they don't take the time to make each character stick in your mind and, distinguish them from the other characters, and I think this author did a really good job of that. So this story is essentially these school kids, as they're growing and learning, they realize that there's prominent, racism is still a thing. Like, one of the first things that happens is they're assigned these school books for their school, and because they get the hand-me-downs, or the things that the white school no longer wants, their textbooks are really messed up, and her little brother finds the N-word written in one of the books, and, and they kind of, throughout the book, just encounter different examples of racism like that. So they're still young, they're still learning, what all is out there, and the dangers of the world. It's nice to see a strong Black family and Black love depicted so well, and then just these great characters. We got the whole family. We got Big Ma, we've got Uncle Hammer, and then we also have, I thought this was fantastic as well, there's a white boy named Jeremy that will sometimes cross from his bus route to walk with these 3 Black kids. A Black kid, which is TJ, who they all really don't get along with, don't really like. You have a Black kid. He is kind of antagonistic. He eventually ends up getting shunned by them, and he kind of goes over to hang out with the white kids, becomes friends with them. They rob this place and then they blame it on him. We have an example of a good white person, and we have an example of a bad Black person. I don't know, I just really liked the dynamics of that, and overall this writing is really realistic. It's very grounded. Contrast this book, which I think is a picture of racism and prevailing in the face of racism. Contrast that book with my next read, which was The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. Now, most of you have probably already heard of this book. I had never read it before, or read anything by her, I don't believe, but it is an Oprah's Book Club pick and the winner of the Nobel Prize, so obviously you already know it's going to be good. This author is highly acclaimed, etc. Now, honestly, I thought from the cover, because it's bright purple and has a illustration on it, I thought this was going to be a kid's book. Just a lot of things made me think that it was a kid's book, and I could not have been more mistaken. This book deals with very serious topics like rape, child abuse, child molestation, teenage pregnancy. I mean, there are so many serious issues that it deals with, and I think a lot of people don't like this book for how in-depth that it goes. But I will say that there is never not a point to the things that she's doing. Yes, she shows the destruction of this young girl who wishes to have blue eyes, to be beautiful, to be white, but she shows you and she makes every character sympathetic. Most of us might think, oh, you want to be white, that's really, messed up. Why would you want to be white, blah, blah, blah. It shows you her tragic background. She's abused. Her father's a drunk. her mother has checked out and completely become like a slave to these white people, basically, that whose house she's serving in. Takes you into the background of why her dad is a drunk, you know, takes you through his childhood up through that. Shows you the background of her mother. So the first half of the book is spent, you know, kind of setting up the story, and then she goes back and explains everyone's backstory, and you're sympathetic to them because of the terrible things that they've been through. Like, I mean, it's hard not to be, and suddenly, you know, why Pecola, I believe her name is Pecola, is the way she is makes a lot of freaking sense. Like, I don't know, I like that she explained the motivations of everyone, even the sort of priest-like guy that Pecola visits that ends up giving her the blue eyes. He's also a pedophile, but even his backgrounds and motivations and things are in a fucked up way explained. At first I was kind of half-hearted on it, I was lukewarm, but as I continued reading I kind of saw where she was going with it, and a lot of the times her prose can get a little carried away, I think, but there's something I really liked about it, and that is when she opens with the excerpts from what I think is Dick and Jane. Here is the house. It is green and white. It has a red door. Mother, father, Dick and Jane. I think those are excerpts from the Dick and Jane book. And throughout the beginnings of her chapters, she will excerpt that book, and it'll all kind of be run together. Each chapter will begin with a mishmash of that stuff. And I think she's just trying to contrast the well put together white family and the white family unit with how broken these black children's and these black people's lives are. Their family unit is anything but this picture perfect life that, you know, is portrayed in Dick and Jane. So it actually ends up being pretty powerful. At first I was annoyed. I was like, why are we doing this? And it became clear to me throughout. So that is definitely a more serious, darker read. There are terrible things happening. I mean, it is quite the contrast to Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry, where bad things happen, but the black families band together and they overcome their obstacles, and the Bluest Eye is more just like despair. I mean, it is very sad. Like, it does not end well, really, for anyone in the book, and so it's much less uplifting. I understand why it won a Nobel Prize, but definitely be warned, there are serious topics. It goes into graphic detail. Probably don't let a child read this. Like, honestly, some of the stuff was shocking even as a fully grown adult. So yeah, I don't know what age group this is recommended for, but just some of the heavier topics I think could confuse kids, especially the child molester element. So those are the 2 books I've read so far. Also reading some Alice Walker poetry. Now, I did Google her the other day and noticed that there has been a scandal of some sort involving her, but I'm not going to address that. I haven't read The Color Purple. I don't know, you know, much about her other than that she wrote The Color Purple. I think she may possibly be queer, or not queer, but bi. Like, I know she's been married to men. I don't know what she identifies as. And it is called Absolute Trust in the Goodness of the Earth. She starts off the book talking about psychedelics, so I was immediately like, this is going to be great. She's going to be woke. So far, it seems to be divided into little sections, and a lot of the poems are about war or love or just daily observations. And one of the things that does annoy me about this is her capitalization, because there will be like a single word on a line, and then that's capitalized. So her line breaks are a little strange, her capitalization is a little strange, but so far I'm liking the subject matter and just the tone. She comes from the perspective of kind of an older person talking to a younger generation, so that's a perspective that I feel like I don't read very much. And another thing is, I saw a lot of people were wanting to read the new Shuri comic, which she's a character in Black Panther, if you didn't know. I decided to see if my library had it. I looked it up, they didn't have it, but they have this neat little feature where you can request books, and then they'll approve or disapprove your request. Most of the time they approve my request, and they approved this one, so presumably that's being ordered and sent. I don't know when it will get here, but so that's great. I mean, I feel great about that. Like, some other person that sees it, I mean, due to the popularity of Black Panther, someone else will probably see it and read it after I return it, so that makes me feel good, you know, adding Black books. So if you visit the library a lot and aren't taking advantage of the requesting books, like, you definitely should. So that is my first Blackathon vlog, I guess, or Blackathon entry, and I will let you guys know how it's going next week. Obviously, let me know. I've been watching a lot of TBRs, but let me know what you guys are wanting to read for this month, what you're currently reading, really anything you feel like, you know, Blackathon related. So, yeah.